This morning we're going to be working on basic roller patterns. We want to remember when we start on these that this is not a sectioning like a perm. We always roll for what we want, or set for what we want. The amount of curl, we're going to use different size rollers. The large roller gives more body, less curl. Smaller rollers, more curl, less body. So you first got to visualize what you want to do. And remember, whatever we do with this is easy to reverse because all we've done is broken the hydrogen bonds. That is the side physical bonds in the hair. When we roll it and then dry it, they're reformed back in their new form. So if she doesn't like it, it's no major thing. All she's got to do is wet it to do it again. So the first thing we want to think of is what kind of hairstyle do we want? Do we want bangs? Do we want a part? Because whatever we do now, that's what we're going to wind up with. And if, we need to do our consultation with her to make sure we understand fully, does she want this center part we're fixing to put? Does she want this side part? Does she want bangs? Because to undo it, we have got to wet it. So we want our shampoo and set, to be what she wants. So she's told me what she wanted, and she'd like it swerved over to the side a little bit, no part. So I'm going to roll for that. Another question I want to ask her is how much volume does she want? And volume is the amount of lift or poof, if you want to call it that she's got. So she'd like a lot of volume on top because she's short and her face is a little bit round. So we're going to put some height on the top, and we're going to begin to have less as we go into the crown area. And then on the side we're going to put no volume because she doesn't want it, sticking out. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how we roll for the different amounts of volume. We want to apply our gel in a small area only because it has a tendency to dry out and get sticky if we put it in a large area. And we want to make sure we comb it through good. And on these magnetic rollers, and the magnetic rollers is what's approved for state board because they're so easy to wash and then disinfect. We can leave them in there and there's no problem with the disinfectant. If we use brush rollers or Velcro rollers, our products have a tendency to make them soft. The brush rollers, they make them rust, so they're not advised by state board. So these are magnetic rollers. And without some type of setting medium, your hair is not going to stay good on the magnetic rollers, nor will it roll smoothly on it. So since she wants a lot of volume on top, I am going to direct the hair 45 degrees beyond perpendicular. That sounded like a math equation, didn't it? We want to make our base the size of the roller so that we don't run out of head before we run out of hair, because remember that roller's got to sit somewhere on the head. 45 degrees beyond perpendicular, straight up is perpendicular to the base. This is our base section right through here. So 45 degrees beyond perpendicular, I just call it over directing. And if you remember, we talked about over directing when we roll perms. And it's a lot easier or a lot less damaging to the hair if we over direct in sets than it is in permanent waves. We want to make sure our ends are smooth on our rollers so that when we brush this out, we've got smooth ends. We want to roll it, and when we go 45 degrees beyond perpendicular, it sits on its base, and that gives the most volume that you can have. The clip has to go in flat on the base so that we don't get any clip marks in the front of it. On the front roller only, we can put 2 clips. If we feel like we needed that added to hold it there, I think that'll stay all right. The less clips you put in a roller, the better off you're going to be because you don't have it clipped down and don't let the air circulate. The holes in the rollers are there for a purpose, and that's so the air can go through and dry the ends of the hair that are inside the other loops of the hair. And we're going to keep rolling, over directing, or holding it 45 degrees beyond perpendicular for the top, because again that gives the maximum volume. And if you notice, I'm trying to comb smooth so it's smooth not only on the ends, but I want it smooth from the scalp. And then we just roll it down evenly. Don't clip the rollers together again, because that does keep our airflow from going around. Now I'm going to do perpendicular, and I won't have quite as much volume in my finished hairstyle as I roll. And there's not going to be a great deal of change. We're not going to have a lot of bounce here and then it flat here. That is the gradual change. 45 degrees beyond, then perpendicular, and then 45 degrees below perpendicular for the least amount of volume. So this one I'm going to hold straight up. And when I look at my subsection, I want to make sure it is about the size of my roller. I didn't have quite enough on that one, so I went back and sectioned off a little more. Again, I'm smoothing the ends so that they'll be smooth on the roller. And if you'll notice, this one's not going to sit quite on it, and so you can see a little more of a part in between these two rollers than you do those two. And I want you to take note of where my comb stays all the time. Why is that?
But it gets contaminated.
If I lay it down, it's contaminated, and I've got to stop and wash it and disinfect it, or I've got to get me another one. And it also saves me a lot of time. I'll hold it straight up. Be half off of its base, or I'm holding it perpendicular to its base section. And again, we're going to see a little distance between them. I'm going to come over to the side and roll a little bit. And I'm going to roll one perpendicular to its base section. And then I'm going to show you how to roll off base. And again, you see, as I go from section to section, I apply my gel there and don't go any further down. Once it gets gummy, there's basically nothing we can do but wash it out, because it gets almost like a thick-bodied glue. I'm going to roll this roller horizontally. What does that mean? Horizontally. I'm going to roll it with the horizon. And again, I'm having it perpendicular to its base section. Should I put the clips in from the front of the roller or behind it? And I'm rolling here. You know, it really doesn't matter. That's why I wanted to ask you. I'm doing what is comfortable for me. If I'm going to put it in the front, I've got to pick it up and I've got to come around here to do it. So you do what's comfortable to you. It does not matter which side this clip goes in of that roller. Whatever's comfortable to you. Now I'm going to change directions here, and I'm going to do a vertical. What does that mean? It's the roller's going to go up and down rather than running with the horizon. And when I do that, I'm going to go 45 degrees beyond perpendicular. So I'm not going to hold it straight out or perpendicular to its base section. I'm going to come back beyond, or below, excuse me. I'm smoothing out the ends of the hair on the roller. And then I'm going to roll it. And when I place it, I want it to be in a vertical position. Now again, we might wonder, where do I put my clip? We sometimes think it'll stay better on the top. And if it does, you can push the other roller out of the way enough. And if you have this to happen with some hair wanting to fall off the ends, and often it will when you're doing vertically, just place it back on there smoothly. If you've got somebody's hair that does want to slip off of it a lot, we have nets back there and we can tie it up before we put them under the dryer so that as it dries, you got to remember it's stretched though when it's wet, and that's one thing we're doing with these rollers. And we can roll it with more tension with a roller than we can with a pin curl. So that's one reason, it's not the main reason, it's one reason that rollers took over quickly from pin curls when they came on the scene. The main reason they took over quickly is you can roll one roller in the time it took you to roll 3 pin curls. All right, we got questions.
Rolling towards the face, that's just what she preferred?
That's what she wanted.
Okay.
That's right. There's no law about this. I could have just as easily rolled them backwards.
Okay.
That is the difference in permanent waving now and roller sets. In permanent waving, we couldn't have rolled it backwards because it has that band. But I'm not going to put this hair through a chemical change, and I also don't have a band on this roller. But I wouldn't want to take and put my clip right there in the front. That's another reason we don't want to take and clip this like this either, is because if you'll notice when we put a clip in there, we're going to get a little indentation. If nothing else, we're going to, now that clip went through one of the holes. If nothing else, we're going to get those 2 little clip marks in it. Can y'all see how it's pressing that in? And had that would leave 2 clip marks. That's why we're real careful not to put it up there on top of our rollers, is because of clip marks. It's no permanent damage, but if she's wanting that back and up, she doesn't want that little indentation on part of it right there in the front. All right, got questions? We ready to roll? All right.